Hello everyone, this is JPL, and today I am joined with...
Hey, I'm Toa Legend.
Yes, and we are the council, the podcast name of the brackets, and today we'll be talking about our predictions for RWBY Volume 4.
Whoop whoop.
So, let's start with you. Well, let's talk about the new trailer.
Yeah, so the trailer just came out that was released a while ago for RTX.
Yeah.
And finally it was released to the public. And that showed off a lot of what has happened in the world. Well, I guess not a lot, but what's happened in the world of Remnant since we were last there. And for the most part it was just a action scene with Ruby Rose.
Yeah.
But there were a couple new different things about her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so with the premiere of it being in, what is it, October 22nd is
Next Saturday.
Yeah, that's when it's coming out, at least for first members. I don't know if it's coming out on YouTube for a while, but
I don't know, maybe... Let's see, what's his Rooster Teeth say about that?
But anyways, so of the differences since the last season, for instance, we saw that Ruby was really using her semblance a lot more in this trailer, which was really cool. And in all honesty, like, we got to see basically she, rather than just shooting out rose petals when she was running faster, she basically turned into rose petals and like was able to even break up her essence and travel by that. That was really cool. We got to see her fight. Was that a Beowulf? I don't know.
Gorilla.
Okay. In it, which was really awesome. And we already knew from last season that she was traveling with leftovers from Team Juniper, so it was cool to see them in the ending. And we also got to see she has a new outfit.
Yeah.
Which looks pretty cool, for sure. Yeah. Overall, good trailer. Didn't really spoil anything, I don't think. I guess technically I haven't seen the season, so I wouldn't know. But we got to see what was left over from the last season. Just kind of like a fun little introductory into this new season, which was nice.
Okay. For me, from what I could tell from the trailer, I kind of felt like they told us how the volume is gonna be feeling, the overall emotion of the volume. So instead of having our normal, happy, giggly little girls that we had for the first two volumes and the first half of the third volume, we now have gone into a little bit more serious part of their life, where they're not always gonna be serious.
Yeah.
They might have some moments of what would you call it? Clarity?
Okay.
Is that how you would?
I don't know what you're trying to get at with that, but
Okay.
I guess, no, I get what you're saying though. Like, they're matured, for instance. They're still the same people, but they're definitely different. They've seen a lot of crazy things, and they're older.
How older is this?
I believe it's been a year since. Okay. According to the description, it says it's several months since the fall of Beacon. So, assumedly, at least half a year, if not more.
Okay. And yeah, there's like from what we can tell, there's just been a big change in Ruby more. Like she wasn't that epic in the last season.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that because like we saw her jump off of like a friggin' flying airship and use her scythe to like bounce down.
But I'm talking about like the way she uses her semblance and her fighting style. It hasn't been like that.
Right. She didn't really have as big of a chance to fight in the field as much.
Okay.
Which just based off this trailer, like a lot of that's changed. We see her using her scythe and really in a better sense of mastery, both using it as propulsion to shoot her around, and she's even like bouncing off birds and stuff with it while she fights. But yeah, it's just a lot more mastery on that, along with her semblance. Flying in on a bird, like that was crazy too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that Ruby, like, this is just much more aggressive side of her, which we haven't really seen, and so it just kind of loses that whole innocent little girl thing that we had in the past volumes. And so
I wouldn't say that. You saw the Ruby Red trailer, right? Like the original, like.
Yeah, but I'm not really considering that canon at the moment, so.
I would still consider it. Anyways, we've seen her aggressive, not necessarily, I guess, this much. I would say she's not as innocent, sure, but she's still, like, she's grown up more, but she's still the same girl. I don't know. She still has that same fighter spirit with her.
I think what I'm trying to say here is that she's a bit more serious than what she was.
Yeah. Okay. I can roll with that.
So yeah, that's kind of why I feel like the whole the next volume is gonna be like a bit more serious and sad at times.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Also, just the same as they've kind of a trend they've been following. The animation style is impressive in this. Like it's not like it's been necessarily bad in the past, but it's definitely
more detailed,
more artistic. It's beautiful. But yeah, it's definitely increased with this. At least with this trailer, I would assume the whole season too.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe they just might spend all their time on the trailer and just have the rest of the season just be.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but definitely in this trailer, you can tell that Ruby's been through a lot. Just with even her costume, there's a lot of like tears in the stockings, for instance, which seems to suggest she's been through a lot. I've seen a couple people point out that her costume resembles somewhat of a mixture between Pyrrha and Penny's, which I found interesting. I don't know if I can see that too well or how actually canon that is, but it's definitely an interesting take on it. Also, it seems like she's using, for the most part, the same weapon as she has been, her crescent rose. Except the one thing that we did see different in this trailer is that she's the scythe part of it folded back to make it kind of like almost just a long spear with a curved blade at the end.
Okay.
Which is definitely interesting. So it seems like she either hasn't used that in the past or that she's modified her weapon to fight with her better. which is cool. I'm glad that as she's developing and changing, so is her fighting style, so is her weapon, so is her everything, basically. But it is nice how much she still looks like her character, and she still obviously sounds like her character, which was to be expected. But depending on how long it's been, if you listen to Lindsay Jones's voice while she's not recording for RWBY, it's very, very different.
Yes.
So I know that she probably could have changed the voice almost nearly completely, but I'm glad that it's only just a little bit lower. And we haven't really seen much of the Juniper team's costumes, but we've
only seen just the images on the phone, which might not be completely accurate, but
right. But it was nice to see that. And then we did get to see a little bit of Weiss, and Blake looks very different in her costume. And then
oh yes, Blake with her overcoat.
Yeah. Weiss definitely seems to be pretty insecure, whereas Blake actually looks like she's ready for something, like she's been preparing. And the way, like, most of the other costumes, like for instance Yang and Ruby's, are kind of like work clothes, I suppose. Yang's like very, like, she hasn't been doing much fighting, but she's still been doing work. Whereas Ruby's is very, I'm actually looking through the video right now, but thanks. Whereas Ruby's is very, like, it's torn up because she's been through work. Whereas Blake isn't messed up, really. It looks like she's ready to fight, but it's not scuffed up. It feels less like work clothes in the sense of going out and doing, like, manual labor, and more as like almost a diplomatic position, which is interesting. And then Weiss is very, like, refined.
Princess.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, she looks like Elsa in her long dress.
Yeah, I guess I could see that a little bit. So, yeah. Also, all the costumes look definitely more grown up. In the past, even Ruby's, it doesn't necessarily, like, I don't think it shows cleavage, but it does have a hole there in her chest area, which is interesting. I don't think her last costume did, but I could be wrong.
Could be wrong, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was, she was basically completely covered in her last costume, and in this new one, she's showing a lot more skin, which that's definitely showing how she's growing up.
Yes.
And we also have to remember Ruby's, I think, a year, maybe 2, younger than everybody else on her team and on everybody at Beacon, or that was at Beacon. So it's interesting to see how she develops in accordance with the rest of the guys that we know.
Mm. Yeah, I can see just hints of being able to combine Penny and Pyrrha's costume more so in what do you call that? The girdle? Ruby's girdle?
Okay, yeah.
That is more in reminiscence of Pyrrha with her thing. And Penny, it looks like she has a backpack of some sort. Or is that just a strap?
It might.
Looks
Yeah,
like a bag.
it looks like there's some sort of bag there. Yeah, I see that on the art. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll have to see.
yeah, definitely gonna be an interesting season regardless.
Oh yeah.
A lot of it's gonna be having to play catch up with what's happened to everybody over the last couple of months. Is Yang still really bummed about her arm, or is she more upset that Ruby's gone and she didn't stop her? Or, you know, a lot of people are saying that that Yang's probably gonna get a new arm.
Probably not this volume though.
Maybe I could see her getting one, but it'll probably be later in the season. But it might even be a cool character design just to not have her have a new arm. Like,
Yeah.
that she can still beat everybody with just one arm. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or, you know, her semblance is, like, basically the amount of damage that she takes, she can deal twice that. Maybe without an arm, she'll be a lot stronger. Or maybe she'll grow back 2 arms. I don't know,
Who
man.
knows? Like this is like one thing I love about RWBY is that we don't know the entire universe though. We only know
Yeah.
just a small portion in this small section, and that's what's great about it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's definitely been shot from the eyes of Ruby, from Beacon, really. But we don't know the rest of the world except for through the short segments that they have on the world of Remnant.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we get to see a lot more of this world. They've definitely done a really good job with the little portion that we have seen. That a whole new world is such a cool idea.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about what we want to see in the next season.
Well, definitely a lot of action and
Okay.
character development, as always.
Yeah.
As
Anything specific about the characters you want to see?
So obviously the last season, Pyrrha died.
Yeah.
So seeing more of Jean will be good. Just to see how he carries on through that. Also, Ruby is older now, so it might be interesting to see her start to have at least glimpses of possibly a romantic side to Ruby, because we haven't really seen that.
Well,
thus
yeah,
far.
that's kind of what I was saying. Like maybe with Pyrrha gone, we'd probably have to start the whole Ruby and John thing that was hinted at the first episode.
I'm sure that a lot of shippers will have fun with that. I don't know if that's the direction that they'll want to go at Rooster Teeth. I'm sure they'll hint at it at least a little bit.
Who knows? Rooster Teeth, it's weird. Rooster's Teeth, they can go wherever they want to.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Not really, because basically the story's basically written at this point. So.
Well, kind of, but also not necessarily. Like, so Monty wrote a lot of what they've done, but they're also realizing that they're gonna have to add more.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm hoping that after the next season break, the break will be shorter though, because this has been painful just to wait.
It's probably not gonna be. It's probably gonna be. Hold on. Did you hear that?
What?
Oh, did you hear what was going on? Or no?
I don't know.
You didn't hear it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what I was saying. I said something. Okay. What was I saying?
I don't know.
What did you say before what I said?
Okay, I have the memory of a goldfish, apparently, because I don't remember. Great
Okay.
podcasting 101 right here. Just say things and don't think about them so you don't have to remember them.
Yeah, you can tell we're
Boom.
professionals.
Absolutely.
So,
Anyways, yeah, so Rooster Teeth is, they got a lot of direction that they can pull with this.
okay, now I remember.
Okay.
The timing
great.
is what we were saying, right? Like, waiting as long as
Yeah.
the next season. And I think it's probably going to be just as long because of the time it takes. I think while this season's going on, they would spend most of their time on Ruby Chibi to fill in the gap.
Yeah, and that has been nice. It's fun to see a couple of the inside jokes that the devs have on just a couple things that were like, hey, this isn't really a joke that we can make in the series, but we could totally put it here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been enjoyable on that end, and all of it's like very lighthearted humor, which is especially good just as a breather from all the dark that we've been getting last season. It's probably, this new season's probably going to be a lot darker.
Yeah.
Just as a trend, that's how it's been going. First season was very, very lighthearted and mostly just an introduction. But the second season got a little bit darker. And then the third season just, like, turned off the lights. Like, yeah, it seems like that's the direction that they're headed, and hopefully they're not heading towards that direction for the sake of trying to be darker, but just to flesh out
present the story.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so far that seems to be right.
Okay. So what do you think we'll see with Weiss this season?
That'll be interesting because we last season we saw that she was taken by her father back to what is it, Atlas?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's not where she wants to be, but it seems like she won't have very much freedom. I think if her team approaches her, she'll want to go with them. But a lot of it will be deciding whether deciding basically between her blood family and her team family, I guess.
I think it'll be interesting to see what her side of the family is like and what Atlas is like. More so.
Yeah, and we've brought up, like, in the series we've seen her sister, and I believe we've seen her father.
Just a glimpse.
Yeah, but we haven't seen her mother, which, being that her character is based off of Snow White, maybe she doesn't have a father, or not a father, a mother, or maybe she just, her mother hasn't been brought up. Maybe the antagonist that we saw at the end of the last season is her mother.
Oh.
I don't know. It could be something crazy like that.
Yeah.
But if we are going the Snow White route, it's likely that her mother or stepmother or whoever could very possibly be evil.
Or dead.
So, that'll be interesting. I don't really know what else to say. She'll probably have better mastery on her her powers now that she's with family and whatever.
Yeah.
And that she was able to summon at least an arm. Yeah. So that was that'll be good. Or it could be that now that she's not with any of her friends or in any immediate danger, maybe she won't be able to summon. I don't know.
And Blake is probably a much more tricky one because all we know that she's just running from Adam. So
yeah, Blake's an interesting subject because it seemed like at the last episode she was definitely blaming herself for for Yang's lost arm and very much like upset with herself and everything. So her running away I feel like is both a way to try to keep her friends safe, but also a way to maybe even track down Adam on her own for vengeance. But it seems pretty clear that she wants to work alone for her friend's safety and for her own personal sake.
Yeah. And Yang, I think she's probably just going to be at home most of the volume. And then later on, she'd probably decide to leave.
Yeah, I'm sure she's still dealing with, like, she wasn't able to save Blake from Adam.
Or her arm.
Or her arm from Adam. So she's probably feeling kind of useless. She wasn't able to help Ruby when Ruby was going off on her own. So she's probably realizing that, understanding that. So she's probably feeling pretty useless.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like she's not going to be... One sec.
Toa just muted his mic, so...
Sorry about that. Anyways, so I feel like her realization of these things probably won't come from her talking to her team, or if it does come from her team, it'll probably come from Blake.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's gonna end up talking to someone else, maybe a mentor, kind of relationship, that'll kind of awaken her to, hey, I need to go back and fight. It's also really interesting because at the end of the last season, that was really the first time that we got to see Yang and Ruby's dad, which makes me think we're probably going to see him more in this season. And hopefully we'll get to see him alongside Crow and alongside Yang's mother. That would just be really cool. Probably won't see him alongside Ruby's mother just because, well, you know, she's dead. But...
Or, yeah.
Or I guess missing. I guess technically we don't know for sure that she's dead. It could be that because Yang said something about that she went missing, but never said anything about her dying, whereas Ruby still visits her mother's grave. So I'm thinking that maybe her father told her that her mother died, when in reality she just went away.
I still just think that she's probably just dead. So
Maybe. Guess we won't know until we find out.
Yep.
Also, like, the whole family dynamic of Ruby's family is still really interesting in that Ruby and Yang are not sisters, they're half sisters.
Yes.
Which really makes things, it might change some things with them.
Yeah.
It seems like they already know that, just in that Yang goes by her father's last name, Xiaolong, whereas Ruby goes with the last name Rose, much like her mother.
Okay.
But that might play into some of the character development in this. And Ruby, actually, like, she's been basically on the hunt since last season with Team Juniper. So she's been fighting, she's been doing things the way we've seen her do things for basically the entire last couple seasons, just in that she's a team of 4. She's been fighting, so her side of the story is pretty normal to us. So yeah, I think her character development will probably be not as grand, but also, like, she's actually growing up now.
Yeah.
Which she's lived with thoughts of fantasy about her being a hero for a long time, and now she actually has to be a hero. And I feel like there's going to be some realization of what being a hero is and how it's a lot messier than she may have expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, like, she might be dealing with even ideas of failure like her sister, in that her whole team fell apart. She wasn't able to save Pyrrha. She was able to stop the giant dragon, but she doesn't even know about those powers, and we haven't seen her use her Silver Eye powers since before.
Yeah.
So, all very interesting ideas that could stem from what has happened since last season.
I think in this volume that we probably won't have any interactions of the 4 main characters. They'll probably be having their own storyline in this volume, and probably later on, probably in the next volume or so, they'll start being reunited.
Maybe. I feel like they will at least see each other in this season. I doubt that they'll be completely apart for the whole season. But I'm sure they'll at least run into each other, if not become a full team together.
Yeah.
Rooster Teeth seems to be taking this for the long run. They know that everybody has enjoyed it since the first season.
Yeah.
And they're starting to realize how big it's been getting, especially with being on Netflix now, being like Hot Topic is selling their shirts now. It's
Walmart's selling it on DVD.
Yeah, it's getting really big. So I think they're realizing that they can do a lot more in the long run and not just in short.
Yeah. And, there's still, like, a lot of things that we don't know, like the side characters, like Sun or Neptune. Like, we don't know what's going on with them. And then we have Mercury and Emerald.
Yep, that's true. And Cinder.
And Cinder, like, we have no idea what happened with them in the finale. And there's still the hope that Torchwick would Pacific Rim the Grim. So, Pacific Grim, you would say.
And that concludes this podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, is there anything else we have to say?
Not much other than that I'm looking forward to it. I mean, this is a series that I've been enjoying at least since season 2 came out.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I started watching it. So I'm glad to have enjoyed it since then, and I'm glad to continue enjoying it. I just despise the cliffhangers at the end of the seasons and between some of the episodes.
Yeah. Well, at least it's going to be a fun ride. That we'll know.
Yeah.
So I believe that's all we have for this podcast.
Yep.
Okay.
Exciting times.
Thank you guys for watching, and I suppose we hopefully will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.